Those last two don't have any amounts on them.
I'd like to call the Monday, September 25th board meeting to order. Roll call.
Mrs. Ario.
Here.
Mrs. Washington.
Here.
Dr. Ballard.
Here.
Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Mr. Sturgill.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got it. Okay, thanks. Yep.
Recognition of visitors. First hearing of the public. Seeing none. Can we approve and sign the minutes from the September 15th meeting?
So move.
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Any old business? Reports and recommendation of the treasurer.
I have items 8.01 through 8.04 for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Reports and recommendation of the superintendent.
Thank you. And first of all, I apologize. If I'd have known it'd be this crowded, we could have moved to the auditorium. But those of you standing, it shouldn't be that long, so we should be in pretty good shape. But I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.01 to 9.06.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
I'd like the board to consider for approval items 10.01 to 10.17. Operations matters.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I know the question was, is it was added, both of these last two, 17 and 18, we've been in discussions with for a long time, but Tony Giardini just approved 17 and 18 with some conditions. 10.17 is it Tom Patton Consulting or something along those lines? But he is a healthcare consultant, and he's going to take a look at our healthcare to make sure we're getting what we should be getting for the money we're spending and to assess whether or not we're in the right consortium. And that cost is $48,000 for a deep dive into our healthcare. Not looking to make any changes, looking to get a better deal on the contracted negotiations or negotiated healthcare plan that we have in place. Tom Patton Consulting.
Any other questions? No? Roll call.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
But both of those items are on board docs and are on the board agenda. The second one is for QuickMed, which is, and I'll speak to it more after it's on there, but I'd like the board to consider approving granting me the authority to enter into an agreement with QuickMed once Tony Giardini, our district counsel, is satisfied with their assurance bond.
So moved.
Support.
Any
And
discussion?
the reason that is the way it is, we had Mercy Healthcare here for a number of years providing health care to our students and our staff. We are now in a partnership with QuickMed, and it's for 5 years, $115,000 a year, another 5 years for free. With Mercy, it was $100,000 a year, but there was no cap. It just kept continuing. They'll assure us 5 more years for free, but there's an upfront cost. You have to furniture for the rooms. Right now, we have 1,200 students who need vaccinations. They'll provide vaccinations, but to purchase 1,200 vaccinations, there's a cost. So what we've struck up with them, again, assuming that we have an assurance bond that meets our district council's approval, we are going to pay the $575 up front. And the assurance bond is if for any reason they don't perform, the insurance company pays us the money that we paid them. So that's the final steps that are taking place. But he wasn't satisfied before the meeting, but they came to an agreement on the phone. Actually, I was in my car out there, so we should have something the next day or so. But they can't start the vaccinations until the contract is signed. They also need to staff the clinic that will be at Washington Elementary and also the mobile clinic that we have, which is how they're going to provide the vaccinations to our students. But right now, the 1,200 number are only the students who are going to be excluded from school by law if they don't get their vaccinations. Kindergarten, 7th grade, and seniors. So that's where we're starting, but again, it's open to all of our students. And there will not be any cost to any students for the programs.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
But the discussion's over. They have 17 urgent cares around the state, and they provide school-based health care for 4 or 5 other school districts, including Youngstown. And at Youngstown, they are already operating, and it's a sustainable model in the fact that they bill Medicaid or insurance companies, but they don't bill families. And one thing that they mentioned when they came and visited was converting the reception area at Washington, where the secretaries or the medical assistants at, to x-rays. They're also going to do casting, so they're going to expand the services, do blood work there, so it's going to be a lot more comprehensive than it was previously, and we're actually really excited. They are very responsive to every need we've shared, including staffing for our vaccinations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any new business? Committee reports? Second hearing of the public? Our next board meeting will be October 9th at 5 o'clock here in the board meeting room. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Support.
Roll call?
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
And again, thanks for coming. It was kind of nice to do the pledge with a room full of people as opposed to an empty room. So yeah, it was nice.
Yes.
That was your note.